Today, we're going to discuss a serious topic. Will Solana recover from the FTX fallout? So let's not waste any time and just dive straight into the topic. So in considering can Solana recover from the FTX blowout, I've split this video into 3 different sections. So we need to consider, firstly, the Solana token itself, second, the Solana DeFi ecosystem, and thirdly, the Solana Foundation impact from all of this. If we start off just looking at the Solana token, we can see that since the creation in 2020, there's been no doubt that FTX and Sam in particular has contributed to a massive helping hand in Solana's success, and this has been through several avenues such as investment, praise, and endorsement. And you can see here I've picked a couple of articles. You've got Sam says Solana has a real shot at being the next Bitcoin. We've got Sam backs Solana even after all of the outages and the exploits that they've had. Sam always backs Solana publicly despite any failings the Solana Network might have had. And then we've also got Solana NFTs. FTX really tried to push Solana NFTs. So in many different aspects, Sam was a big driving force into pushing Solana usage. Now, thanks to all of this, we can see that Solana actually hit a market cap of $75 billion at one point, and this actually led to Solana, as you can see, being the 4th largest coin by market cap and pushed it to a price of $250. And this snapshot was taken on the 7th of November 2021, where we were really at, I guess, the peak of the bull run when it came to altcoins. So in regard to the Solana token, we have to ask ourselves, how deep was FTX and Alameda investment into the Sol token, because that is a big contribution to Solana's price dropping. Now if we scroll down, we can see we have a rough estimation on how much involvement FTX and Solana, well, how much of their hand they had in the Solana pot, and you can see they actually had circa 58 million Solana, which was owned by either FTX or Alameda Research. Now 58 million might sound a lot to you, or it might not sound a lot to you, but in percentage terms, that was about 10% of the total supply for Solana. So just let that sink in. We're talking 10% of Solana was owned by FTX or Alameda Research in some form. Now what's quite interesting is most of this Solana is actually to be unlocked in various intervals all the way up to January 2028. You can see here, for example, they purchased 12 million Solana, and it's got a linear unlocking from September 2021 to 2027. And same here, they purchased 38 million here, and it goes all the way up to January 2028. Now the question is, it's actually quite unclear how much of this has been dumped currently during the whole FTX drama and how much is still held. So this information, it might be a bit outdated because it does come from pre-FTX fallout essentially. And when I say how much of it has been dumped, if we do move down, you can see here, well, Solana has dropped 50% in price since the whole FTX fallout, and you know, we're sitting 90, 95, 97% down from its all-time high. So as we just noted, it's unclear how much of this drop in investment is from either investors selling due to fear or the FTX and Alameda Research holding being dumped on investors, because you can see during the whole situation we did drop. We were on a bit of an uptrend, $37, and we've just plummeted down, 50% drop. So as I said, how much of that is investors selling their bags because they're scared, or is there some involvement where FTX and Alameda have actually started dumping their bags already, which has caused that selling pressure? But one of the good things about the bankruptcy, well, I say good things, it's probably not the right word, but one of the silver linings, if that's a more appropriate word, is this bankruptcy will actually mean any Solana will essentially be seized. It cannot move, it cannot be sold. So if they are still holding the 58 million Solana, it's not going to hit, if they haven't sold it, it's not going to hit the market. Obviously if they've already sold some, that Solana's hit the market, but anything still left can't be dumped, and that's a great thing because we don't want to see a dump of Solana hitting the market, because it's just going to crash price so much and it's really going to ruin the confidence factor in Solana. So moving away from the Solana token, let's now have a look at Solana DeFi, another large factor on can Solana survive. So before we get into Solana DeFi, there's a concept that I just want to note out. Some of you may already know about it, but I want to talk about total value locked. What is total value locked? Well, TVL measures the total value of all assets locked in DeFi protocols. TVL includes all coins deposited in all functions that DeFi protocols offer, so that could be staking, lending, or liquidity pools. Now you may be wondering, why am I telling you this? What's so important about total value locked? Well, I'm glad you asked, and if you didn't ask, I'm gonna tell you anyway. So why is TVL so important? Well, I've broken it down right here into 3 different aspects. So number 1, it provides a way to measure the size of a DeFi ecosystem. Number 2, TVL is a good indicator of the level of activity in the space. So the higher the TVL, the more active the space is essentially. And number 3, it can be used to assess the riskiness of an ecosystem, because if you're willing to lock your tokens away in the DeFi protocol, your risk over this coin is pretty low. You think it's a good coin, it's stable, and you're not too worried about locking your coins away because you have faith in the system. So overall, to me, TVL is like a confidence factor. The higher the TVL, the higher the confidence factor in the ecosystem. So you may be wondering, or you may not be wondering, what is the TVL for Solana? Because as we discussed, it's the confidence factor. Well, I'm glad you asked. Firstly, at the height of the bull run, TVL was 10 billion, which is a great sign. 10 billion. Now obviously it's not sitting at 10 billion anymore, and most of that is due to the collapse, and well, not collapse, but the end of the bull run and just being in the bear market. So as you can see here, it coming all the way down. That's nothing to be worried about. That has happened with a lot of projects out there and a lot of DeFi protocols. But the question is, what was the difference between TVL before, moments, a day, a week before the FTX fallout, and after? So let's have a look. So in summary, we saw $600 million wiped from the DeFi, well, the Solana DeFi ecosystem. So at the moment, we are sitting at 300 million TVL locked. And you can see here, I took a snapshot. So 7th of November, it was sitting at 937 million. So that is a lot of TVL taken out of the ecosystem in an instance, within a day. And that just shows you the faith in Solana right now. It is quite shaky, and that's why you clicked on this video. A lot of people are worried, and that's why we're going through all of these different factors just to consider what is the future for Solana. So we're going to cover a lot more interesting points. Now if we go down, why has TVL dropped? Why has faith in the Solana DeFi ecosystem fallen? Well, unfortunately, one of the largest Solana decentralized exchanges was a project called Serum, and unfortunately Serum was a Sam launched / backed project. It was a little project of his which he had a lot of hands in, and you may be wondering, why is that an issue? Well, if we go down, as soon as the whole FTX situation happened, there was a hack on Serum which denoted that Serum had been compromised. We saw a lot of unauthorized transactions take place on Serum, and this led to a lot of people losing their funds. So you can see here by this article, Serum has actually now been fought by the developers because they want to get it away from Sam's touch essentially. So that's some positive news. They've done a fork to take it away from the control of Sam, but that's why we lost faith. There was this hack that took place, and that's not a positive sign at all. And to make things worse, applications such as Phantom, probably the go-to Solana wallet, they stopped supporting Serum. That's how serious it was. Due to these unauthorized transactions, people were losing their crypto. So that's definitely negative exposure when you've got something like Phantom no longer being compatible with Serum. But it continues to get a bit worse when it comes to the Solana DeFi ecosystem. And I know I'm spitting a lot of negative light to Solana, but it will get better. I will show you the positives, but I want to give you a fair picture of all the facts. I don't want to just spur a one-sided argument, because it's important we make our own decisions. So wrapped Solana assets are effed up. That's another aspect, and a lot of people don't know about Solana wrapped assets, so we're going to get into it. Don't worry, just hold on a second. So Solana token known as Sol BTC and Sol ETH, they depegged. Sol BTC started trading 70% below BTC price, and we've got a screenshot here. Now, if you're wondering what are wrapped assets, what is Sol BTC, we'll go down right here. So what are What are Solana wrapped tokens? So wrapping tokens such as Bitcoin or Ethereum on Solana, it makes the assets available for usage on the Solana ecosystem. So essentially, users can trade Bitcoin or Ethereum on the Solana network. So it should be a 1-for-1 swap. You swap one BTC for one Solana BTC. You swap one Ethereum for one Solana Ethereum. It should be a 1-to-1 peg, but that peg has dropped because unfortunately most Solana assets, wrapped assets, were custodianed by FTX and Alameda Research, so they're not redeemable. That's why the price has dropped. There's worry and panic that people will not be able to redeem their wrapped tokens, and that's what's caused the depeg, and in theory it should go to zero. So that's the DeFi bit covered. So obviously we've covered the token, we've covered the DeFi bit. Now let's talk about the third impact, negative impact that we need to run through for consideration, and that is the Solana Foundation impact from all of this. Let's look at the exposure levels. Now the Solana Foundation was heavily exposed to FTX. They actually lost 1 million worth of cash or cash equivalents which were being stored on the FTX platform, but on top of that they also had 3 million FTX shares which are essentially worth zero, and they also had 3 million FTT tokens, which I haven't checked the price recently, but I assume it must be sitting around $2, which is nothing. If you look at FTT token, it was up to like $40. So think about how much value they've now lost. You've got the FTX shares to zero, and the FTT tokens, they've lost nearly all their value, along with the 1 million cash loss. And then we've also got the caveat that the Solana Foundation did sell 58 million Solana to FTX and Alameda Research, which is now unclear what's going to happen with that. So there was some heavy exposure by the Solana Foundation to FTX. So the $1 million question, can Solana cover? We've obviously covered all the the main negatives. There are more negatives you could probably pull out from the situation, but I really think those three areas we've discussed, the token, the DeFi protocol, and the foundation impacts, I think those are probably the biggest negative impacts. So now let's look at the positive. Can Solana recover? Okay, so we've got Exhibit 1. We talked about the Solana Foundation and how much they lost. Well, this is a tweet from one of the founders of the Solana Foundation. They've still got runway. They've lost quite a bit, but they've still got how things are going. They've got 30 months left in the tank financially wise. So there's still a large treasury back in the Solana Foundation. There's no worry that they're gonna run out of cash tomorrow. They've got a lot of time to try and get their feet back on the ground. Exhibit 2. Now Solana probably has one of the strongest developer communities, and this was most recently highlighted by the Solana Breakpoint event which took place in Lisbon. Literally, I think it was only last week. It was very recent, and you can see some of the pictures I've got just to show how strong that community is. Turnout was 50% more than when it was during the bull run. You know, we've got a room here just filled with people willing to learn, willing to develop and extend their knowledge about the Solana ecosystem. And then we've just got some fan pictures here, really just normal people just excited to be there. So there's a strong community behind Solana, and that's very important when it comes to moving forward. Exhibit number 3, which is another big one on the list, the NFT community. We already know FTX was a big backer in trying to push Solana NFTs, but Solana NFTs can stand on its own 2 feet, and the stats are right here. The NFT community is second to none. The rate that Solana's been growing at, it wouldn't surprise me if we did see Solana overtake Ethereum. And you can see the stats here. They've done 1.1 billion of primary sales, 2.5 billion secondary sales, almost 22 million Solana NFTs minted, 7 million active wallets, and 150k active creators. And on the topic of NFTs, if you do want a free NFT, I do give them away for free. And these NFTs are just a token of my appreciation, just some way I can give back to people that watch my videos. So they're on OpenSea, the link will be in the description below. But yeah, free NFTs, if you just want to claim one, you just have to pay gas. And gas is pretty low at the moment. And then just moving on again about the Solana NFT community. There's also vocal leaders on platforms such as Twitter. So I've got a screenshot here of Frank from DGods. Now he's very vocal in the crypto Twitter space, and it's good to have these vocal characters on social media. It just helps cement how strong that NFT community is. So if we look at Exhibit 4 now, the biggest worry when it comes to Solana is how centralized is Solana. There was big fears that Solana was very centralized and hence very controlled by Sam, and that's what led to a lot of fear when the FTX collapse took place. But you can see here, centralization of Solana nodes and FTX influence is increasingly irrelevant as validator network continues to increase. There are almost 4,000 nodes, 230 unique data centers with staked validators, and the largest share of stake in a single data center is only 9%. So the Solana network continues to become decentralized day by day. And it doesn't stop there. Literally before the FTX fallout, we had an announcement by Google that they were going to start running a Solana node to participate within the network. So the decentralization is growing. More companies are signing up to the Solana network. It's no longer just an FTX project. So we then have Exhibit 5, which I believe is the last exhibit, but I'm going to give you my opinion after this exhibit on will Solana be able to recover. So Exhibit 5 is network performance, one of the biggest outputs to be measured actually. There's no point having a fancy network if it can't handle any performance. So network performance continues to improve and handle billions of transactions despite setbacks. We do read a lot in the news how Solana has to halt the network, it has to pause, something's gone wrong, but they handle a lot of transactions. Look, 112 billion transactions have been processed by the Solana network. Therefore, it's a strong network and it has a valid usage. It's not just a propped up token with a propped up network, which doesn't really work. It's valid, it's handled 112 billion transactions. So what is my summary when it comes to this whole situation? What's my opinions? Would I still buy Solana? Do I actually own Solana? Actually, I didn't disclose if I've owned Solana in the past. You might want to know that just in case you think I have a vested interest. In terms of do I own Solana, so I purchased 0 Solana during the bull run, but I have to admit I did start picking up a bag around the $30 mark. Unfortunately, a lot of the Solana bag that I picked up was on FTX and I couldn't get it off in time, which is really annoying. The exposure wasn't too big, but when it hit $13, I did buy back into Solana. My bag is small, but you might want to know that information just in case you think I'm a Solana maxi or I'm trying to shill my own bag. So my summary, so I've got 5 points which are my thoughts. You might agree with it. If you do agree with it, if you disagree with it, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. But number 1, it's 100% way too early to write off Solana, I feel. It's still an early project. It was only launched in 2020, so it is a new project. Even if the FTX blowout didn't happen, you still have to think to yourself, Solana is an early project. Even if everything was all still rosy, it's still a new project. It still needs to pass the test of time. So despite this setback, I still think the project's so early in development that this setback, it might just be a blimp in the future. It might not actually cause much of a detrimental effect to the growth. Number 2, we've discussed it's shown its ability to process billions of transactions. So the network works. I don't know what more you want from a token. I said that sounds really aggressive, but that's another positive. It will attract people to build on the network, and that brings us to number 3. There's a strong community and an increasing number of developers entering the ecosystem, and that's because the network works. So we've got developers entering, and if I'm honest, as long as developers keep entering the network, I think Solana will be okay. Partnerships with outside sources continue to grow. Talked about the Google Cloud situation. Off the top of my head, we also have the Solana integration, Solana NFT integration, which is coming to Instagram. So again, partnerships continue to grow, which is important. And centralization of nodes is decreasing constantly. That's also good to know that Solana isn't a centralized network which was controlled by Sam. It's good to know that there's more validators entering the system, and that's what you want. You want a decentralized network. So to top it all off, so I feel that Solana's success will not be limited by its technological abilities, but more by developer and consumer confidence.